What wrong decision keeps you up at night? The decision to work night shifts while leaving Kylie with Robert. That's it. That's the one thing I can't take back, and it's eating me alive. I keep replaying it all in my head over and over, trying to figure out when I should have known, when I should have listened, when I should have fucking listened to my 4-year-old daughter who was literally begging me not to go every single night. We needed the money. That's what I kept telling myself. The hospital paid night nurses way better, and Robert had been laid off from his accounting job. It was supposed to be temporary, just until he found something else. He kept saying he was applying, but nothing ever came through. 6 months turned into a year. At first, Kylie was fine with the arrangement. She'd always been a daddy's girl anyway. But then something changed. Can't even pinpoint exactly when. Maybe 3 months into my night shifts. I'd be getting ready to leave around 10 p.m. and Kylie would start crying. Not normal toddler tears, but these gut-wrenching sobs that made my chest physically hurt. She'd cling to my legs screaming, "Mommy, don't go, don't leave me. Please don't leave me with Daddy." Robert would always say the same thing. "She's just being dramatic. She's fine as soon as you're gone. She's manipulating you. She just wants attention." And like a fucking idiot, I believed him. I convinced myself it was just separation. Anxiety, because that's what all the parenting blogs said could happen. I'd kneel down and promise Kylie I'd be home in the morning, that Daddy would take good care of her, that she was safe. She never believed me. Her little fingers would dig into my arms so hard they left marks. Her face would be this horrible shade of red from screaming. The last thing I'd see before leaving was Robert practically prying her off me, her tiny body thrashing as I closed the door. Every single night. I started dreading going to work. Would sit in my car crying for 10 minutes before driving to the hospital. My coworkers noticed how exhausted I looked. Tiffany, this other nurse on my floor, kept asking if everything was okay at home, and I'd just brush it off like, yeah, my kid's just going through a phase. But then Kylie started having accidents again, even though she'd been potty trained for over a year. She'd wake up screaming from nightmares she couldn't explain. And she started this thing where she'd hide in small spaces. Under her bed, in her closet, behind the couch. I'd find her curled up in these tiny spots just staring, not playing, just hiding. I confronted Robert about it once. Asked him if anything happened during the nights that might be scaring her. He got super defensive, said I was accusing him of being a bad father, that I was the one who abandoned them every night. Turned it all around on me so fast my head spun, and I backed down because that's what I always did with Robert. Kylie started getting these bruises. Nothing major, just little ones on her arms or legs. Robert always had an explanation. She fell off the swing. She bumped into the coffee table. She was roughhousing with the neighbor's kid. I'm a nurse. I should have known better. I should have recognized the pattern, but I was so tired all the time, working 12-hour shifts, trying to be a mom during the day, trying to keep our family together. I just accepted his explanations because the alternative was too horrifying to consider. But then 3 weeks ago, Kylie started refusing to be alone with Robert at all, not just at night. If I went to the bathroom, she'd follow me. If I tried to run to the store, she'd have a complete meltdown. She started sleeping in my bed during the day while I tried to rest before work. One afternoon, while Kylie was napping with me, Robert came in and said he needed to talk about her behavior. Said she was becoming too dependent on me. Said I was encouraging it by letting her sleep with me. Said he was going to start being firmer with her. Something in his voice made my skin crawl. That night was the worst. Kylie literally made herself throw up. She was crying so hard when I tried to leave. She kept screaming, "Don't leave me, Mommy. Please don't leave me. He hurts me when you're gone, he hurts me." Robert grabbed her and told her to stop lying. His face was, I don't know how to describe it. Like he was smiling for me, but his eyes were something else entirely. He told me to just go, that he'd handle it, that she was obviously overtired and making things up for attention. I almost stayed home. I almost called in sick. But we needed the money, and I was already on thin ice for missing shifts. So I left. I left my baby girl screaming that her daddy hurt her. I couldn't focus at work. Kept making small mistakes. Dropping things. Forgetting basic procedures. Tiffany pulled me aside around 3 a.m. and told me to take a break. I broke down in the staff room and told her everything. She just listened and then asked me one question that changed everything. "Have you checked your nanny cam?" We had this baby monitor system that Robert had installed when Kylie was a baby. It was connected to our Wi-Fi and stored footage on the cloud. I hadn't checked it in ages because Kylie wasn't a baby anymore. But Tiffany's question hit me like a truck. I logged into the app right there in the hospital break room at 3:30 in the morning, hands shaking so bad I could barely type my password. The camera was still in Kylie's room, pointed at her bed. The footage from that night showed her room empty at first. Then Robert bringing her in. She was still crying, but quieter now, like she was exhausted from it. He put her in bed and just stood there, looking down at her for way too long. Then he sat on the edge of her bed and started talking. I couldn't hear what he was saying because the sound was muted on the app and I couldn't find my earbuds. But I could see Kylie's face, could see her shrinking away from him, pressing herself against the wall, could see Robert's hand reaching toward her. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I tried to turn the sound on, but my hands were shaking too much. I watched as Robert leaned in closer to Kylie, his back to the camera. She was crying again, shaking her head no over and over. I watched my husband pull back the covers and the app crashed. My phone just froze completely. I restarted it, but when I tried to log back in, it said my password was incorrect. I tried again and again, but nothing worked. I called our home phone, but no one answered. Tiffany found me hyperventilating in the break room. She helped me calm down enough to think clearly. I called my neighbor, this older lady who lives next door and has our spare key for emergencies. Asked her to go check on Kylie. 10 minutes later, she called back and said everything was fine. Robert answered the door, said Kylie was sleeping peacefully and he didn't want to wake her. Said I was just being paranoid because I was overtired from work. I couldn't wait until morning. I left my shift early, drove home like a maniac. It was almost 5 a.m. when I got there. The house was dark and quiet. Robert was asleep in our bed. I went straight to Kylie's room. Her bed was empty. I frantically searched the house, checking all her hiding spots. Finally found her in the guest bathroom tub, curled up with her favorite stuffed animal, fast asleep. When I picked her up, she started screaming. It took minutes to calm her down enough to realize it was me, not Robert. When she recognized me, she just collapsed against me, sobbing, clinging, whispering mommy over and over. I took her to my car, buckled her in, and drove to Tiffany's place. She'd given me her address before I left the hospital. Kylie fell back asleep in the car. I carried her inside, and Tiffany set us up in her spare room. I don't know what to do. Robert has been calling nonstop. Left voicemail saying he's worried sick, asking where we are, saying he's going to call the police if we don't come home, saying I've lost my mind, that I'm having some kind of breakdown, that I need help. Tiffany says I should take Kylie to the hospital to be examined, but I'm terrified. What if they find nothing? What if Robert convinces them I'm the unstable one? What if they give her back to him? What if they do find something? How do I live with the fact that I left my daughter with a monster night after night after night while she begged me not to go? Right now, Kylie is napping in Tiffany's guest room, hasn't left my side all day, flinches at loud noises, keeps asking if Daddy knows where we are. I have to decide what to do next. Go to the police? The hospital? My parents live 3 states away. We could try to go there, but Robert would know that's where we'd go. The most fucked up part is that small voice in my head still wondering if I'm overreacting, if Kylie really was just having nightmares, if Robert is right and I'm losing it from exhaustion and stress. But then I remember her face on that nanny cam, the absolute terror. No child acts like that over nothing. I need to get the footage back somehow. Need proof. Need to know exactly what he was doing to her all those nights I left her screaming for me not to go. The decision to work nights while leaving Kylie with Robert, that's the one I can't take back. That's the one keeping me up right now watching my daughter sleep, jumping at every sound outside wondering if he's going to find us. What the fuck do I do now? First, thank you to everyone who commented on my post. I didn't expect it to blow up like that. I'm sitting in Tiffany's bathroom typing this while Kylie finally sleeps. It's been 48 hours since we left the house and everything has gone from bad to worse. I decided to take Kylie to the children's hospital the morning after we stayed at Tiffany's, not the one where I work because Robert would look for us there first. Tiffany drove us to one across town. I was terrified the whole ride, kept checking the rearview mirror to see if we were being followed. Kylie wouldn't let go of my hand, kept asking if Daddy was coming to get her. The way she asked that, it wasn't like a kid missing their parent. At the hospital, I told them I was concerned about possible abuse. Had to say it in code at first because Kylie was right there. The nurse at triage got it immediately, took us back quickly. They have a special protocol for these situations. A child life specialist came and took Kylie to play while I spoke with a doctor. Dr. Kelly, she was so kind, not judgmental at all when I broke down crying trying to explain everything. Told her about the night shifts, the screaming, the hiding, the nanny cam footage I partially saw before it disappeared. She asked if Kylie had disclosed anything specific about what Robert did. I said no, just that he hurt her and gave her bad dreams. Dr. Kelly said that's actually common. Kids often don't have the words to describe what's happening to them. The hospital had to call in a special team. A social worker named Donald showed up with this gentle voice and sad eyes like he'd seen too much. There was a detective too. They interviewed me separately while a pediatrician examined Kylie. I kept wondering if I was doing the right thing, if I was crazy, if I was ruining all our lives over what might be nothing. When the pediatrician came back, my heart stopped. She said there was no obvious physical trauma or signs of sexual abuse, but Kylie had some concerning bruising on her upper arms and back. The pattern was consistent with being grabbed roughly. There was also a small burn on her inner thigh that Kylie wouldn't explain. It wasn't the smoking gun I thought they'd find. Wasn't enough to say definitively that Robert had been hurting her, but it was something. The doctor said the bruising pattern was suspicious, especially combined with Kylie's behavior. That's when everything went sideways. Robert showed up at the hospital somehow. Don't know how he found us. Maybe he called around to all the hospitals. Maybe he tracked my phone. I don't know. But suddenly he was there in the waiting area, talking to the front desk staff, looking worried and distraught. The perfect concerned father. I was in a consultation room with Donald and the detective when a nurse came in to tell us Kylie's father had arrived and was demanding to see his daughter. My whole body went cold. Donald went out to speak with him while the detective stayed with me. I could hear Robert's voice down the hall getting louder, saying I had taken Kylie without permission, that I'd been acting erratically for weeks, that he was worried about our safety. The detective was watching me closely, asked if there was any truth to what Robert was saying, asked if I had permission to take Kylie, asked if I had been having mental health issues. I tried to explain, but everything coming out of my mouth sounded crazy even to me. Yes, I took Kylie without telling Robert. Yes, I'd been stressed and exhausted from work. Yes, I'd left my shift early without permission. Yes, Robert had always been a good father before this. Yes, Kylie had been having behavioral issues. Yes, I had no proof beyond what I'd partially seen on a nanny cam that I couldn't access anymore. Donald came back with this tight look on his face. Said Robert had filed a police report for kidnapping this morning when he woke up to find us gone. Said Robert had brought medical records showing I'd been prescribed sleep aids last year for insomnia. Said Robert was claiming I'd been experiencing paranoid thoughts and mood swings for months. My mouth just opened and closed like a fish. How did he have medical records? I did get prescribed Ambien last year, but only took it a few times because it made me groggy. Had never mentioned paranoia to my doctor. Robert must have, IDK, somehow accessed my patient portal. Made it up? I couldn't think straight. Donald said they needed to interview Kylie alone. Standard procedure. I nodded like a zombie. They wouldn't let Robert see her yet either, at least. While Kylie was being interviewed, Robert was allowed to come speak to me with Donald and the detective present. He walked in looking so normal, concerned, slightly sad but composed. I barely recognized him. This wasn't the Robert who had been standing over Kylie's bed in that nanny cam footage. He sat across from me and did this thing with his eyes like he was holding back tears. Said he was so relieved we were safe, had been worried sick. Couldn't understand why I'd taken Kylie in the middle of the night without telling him. Asked what was going on with me. I just stared at him. Couldn't find any words. The detective asked about the bruises on Kylie's arms and the burn on her thigh. Robert didn't even flinch. Said Kylie had fallen off the playground equipment at the park last week, showed them pictures on his phone of Kylie at the park from last Saturday. Said the small burn probably happened when Kylie was helping him cook breakfast. She'd accidentally touched the pan. Even had a picture of them making pancakes together from Sunday morning. His voice got all thick with emotion talking about their daddy-daughter breakfast tradition. He had an answer for everything. Perfectly reasonable. Documented with casual photos a normal dad would take. Made me sound like the crazy one. That's when Robert pulled out his phone and showed them his own copy of our nanny cam footage from the night before. Footage I couldn't access anymore. My heart nearly stopped. The video showed exactly what I had started to see. Robert coming into Kylie's room, sitting on her bed. But then it continued. Showed him tucking her in. Showed him reading her a story. Showed Kylie still crying a little but gradually calming down. Showed Robert kissing her forehead and leaving the room. Completely normal. Completely innocent. I felt like I was losing my mind. That's not what I saw. That's not what was happening. He must have edited it or replaced it or something. But how could I prove that? How could I explain that the video he had wasn't what I started to see? Robert told them I'd been under tremendous stress, that he'd been begging me to cut back my hours, that he was worried I was having some kind of breakdown. He even started crying. Said he just wanted to help me get better, for our family to be whole again. Donald and the detective exchanged a look I couldn't read. Then Kylie came back with a female officer. She saw Robert and froze. Just completely froze in the doorway. Then she ran to me, climbed in my lap, buried her face in my shoulder. Wouldn't look at him. That had to mean something, right? The way she reacted to seeing him? The detective noticed too. I could tell. But Robert just looked sad and said, "See, this is what I'm talking about. She's feeding off your anxiety. You've made her afraid of me." They asked to speak to Kylie alone again. I didn't want to let her go, but they insisted. Robert and I waited in separate rooms. I texted Tiffany what was happening, my hands shaking so bad I could barely type. She offered to come back to the hospital, but I told her to stay away. Didn't want Robert to target her too. After what felt like forever, Donald came back. Said Kylie wasn't disclosing any abuse. Said she was confused and scared. Said she did mention having bad dreams but couldn't or wouldn't explain what they were about. Said she missed her daddy but was also afraid. His exact words were, "We don't have enough to substantiate abuse allegations at this time." Those words hit me like physical blows. He said they couldn't prevent Robert from having contact with Kylie based on what they had. I must have made some kind of sound because Donald quickly added that they were still investigating, that they'd be making home visits, that they wanted us to attend family counseling, that they were taking it seriously. But then he said something that made my blood run cold. Said that given the circumstances, they were concerned about my mental state and decision-making. Said if I continued to make unfounded accusations or tried to prevent Robert from seeing Kylie, I could lose custody myself. Robert was allowed to see Kylie briefly under supervision. He didn't push it when she wouldn't hug him, just talked to her softly, told her he missed her, asked if she was ready to come home. She looked at me with these huge, terrified eyes and I just broke inside. Somehow we ended up with this bizarre compromise. Kylie and I could stay somewhere else temporarily while the investigation continued, but I had to disclose where. Robert would have supervised visits starting tomorrow. We'd begin family counseling next week. I had to return to work or take official leave. Had to agree not to leave the state. It was that, Or they were going to do an emergency custody hearing where Robert would likely get temporary custody given my erratic behavior and lack of evidence. So now we're back at Tiffany's. I had to tell Robert where we are. He knows her address. He's coming tomorrow at 2 p.m. for his first supervised visit. Donald will be here to monitor, but I'm still terrified. Kylie is finally sleeping after crying herself into exhaustion. She made me check under the bed, in the closet, behind the shower curtain, made me promise I wouldn't leave, wrapped her little fingers around mine as she fell asleep. I've been going through my phone trying to figure out how Robert could have accessed my medical records, how he could have altered the nanny cam footage. Found out he installed this family locator app on my phone months ago, in case of emergency. That's probably how he found us at the hospital. Deleted it immediately. Also discovered all these weird text conversations with my mom and friends where it looks like I've been complaining about stress and having paranoid thoughts for months. But I never sent those texts. Never had those conversations. Yet there they are in my message history, some going back almost a year. Messages I supposedly sent at times I know I was working or sleeping. I'm afraid to sleep. Afraid Robert will somehow get in. Afraid they'll take Kylie away. Afraid no one will believe me because I can't even believe myself anymore. The nanny cam footage he showed looked so normal. What if I did imagine it? What if I am having some kind of breakdown? But then Kylie whimpers in her sleep and I know what I saw starting to happen on that camera. I know my daughter. I know she's terrified of her father for a reason. Tiffany says I need a lawyer. Says this is beyond what we can handle ourselves. She has a friend who's a family attorney, going to call her tomorrow. But lawyers cost money and Robert controls our bank accounts. I have my own personal account with some savings, but not much. I checked my work email. Already have a warning for leaving my shift early. My supervisor wants to meet tomorrow to discuss recent performance issues. Issues I didn't even know existed until now. There are complaint forms dating back weeks about medication errors I never made. Patient interactions that never happened. I feel like I'm drowning. Like everything I thought was solid is actually quicksand. Like the more I struggle, the deeper I sink. The worst part is that tiny voice still whispering. Maybe he's right. Maybe you are losing it. Maybe you did see something that wasn't there. But then I look at Kylie's bruises. At the small circular burn on her inner thigh that looks nothing like an accidental touch to a pan. At the way she flinches when doors close too loudly. At how she whispers, "Please don't make me go with Daddy." I don't know what to do. Don't know who to trust. Robert has turned everything upside down so efficiently that I'm questioning my own reality. The systems that should protect us are now watching me as much as him. I'm going to try to get some sleep while Kylie is sleeping. Dreading tomorrow. Dreading the supervised visit. Dreading what comes next. If anyone has been through something like this, please tell me what to do. How to fight someone who's already convinced everyone you're crazy. How to protect your child when no one believes there's anything to protect them from. And if anyone knows how to recover deleted nanny cam footage or prove messages were sent from your phone by someone else, please tell me. That might be our only hope. It's been 4 days since my last update. I'm typing this from a hospital chair watching Kylie sleep hooked up to monitors. Everything has spiraled so far out of control I can barely think straight. The supervised visit with Robert happened. Donald, the social worker, came to Tiffany's apartment 30 minutes early to explain the process. Said he'd be present the entire time, would intervene if necessary, but wanted to observe the natural interaction between Robert and Kylie. Said this would help establish a baseline for their relationship. Kylie had been having panic attacks all morning. Not typical tantrums, but full-on hyperventilating, unable to breathe properly. I had to rock her like a baby to calm her down. She kept saying she didn't want to see Daddy, didn't want the bad dreams. When Donald arrived, she hid under Tiffany's bed and wouldn't come out. It took 20 minutes of gentle coaxing to get her into the living room. Donald noticed, made notes on his clipboard. That had to count for something, right? A child this terrified isn't making it up. Robert arrived exactly at 2 p.m. looking like Father of the Year. Clean-shaven, brought Kylie's favorite stuffed animal she'd left at home. Had this gentle smile that made my skin crawl because I knew it wasn't real. Donald introduced himself officially and explained the rules. 2-hour visit. He would remain present. No physical discipline. Respect Kylie's boundaries. Kylie was sitting next to me on the couch, pressing herself against my side so hard it hurt. When Robert came in, she went completely still. Not crying, not speaking, just frozen. Like a rabbit spotting a fox. The first hour was excruciating. Robert sitting on the floor trying to engage Kylie. Kylie refusing to leave my side. Me trying not to show how much I wanted to grab her and run. Donald observing and making notes. Robert suggested Kylie show him her temporary bedroom, said maybe they could read a story. Kylie shook her head violently. Donald intervened, said maybe they could all stay in the living room, that transitions were difficult for children in stressful situations. Then Robert did something that chilled me. He looked directly at Kylie and said, "Remember our special game? The one where you get to be the princess in the tower? I have a new story about the princess I could tell you." Kylie started trembling against me. Actual trembling, her little body vibrating with fear. She whispered, "No games. No princess games." I asked Robert what princess game he was talking about. He smiled and said it was just a bedtime story thing they did when I was at work. He'd tell stories about a princess locked in a tower who had to be very quiet, or the dragon would hear her. Donald asked Kylie if she liked the princess stories. She shook her head, still trembling. Donald made another note. Halfway through the visit, I had to use the bathroom. Didn't want to leave Kylie but couldn't hold it anymore. Told Donald I'd be right back. Kylie started panicking, clinging to me. Robert said soothingly that it was okay. Daddy was here. Nothing bad would happen. I went as fast as humanly possible. Couldn't have been gone more than 2 minutes. When I came back, Kylie was still on the couch, but something had changed. She was sitting perfectly still, back straight, hands folded in her lap, staring at the floor. Completely silent. Robert was across the room, talking casually with Donald about the weather. I rushed to Kylie, asked if she was okay. She didn't respond. Didn't even look at me, just kept staring at the floor with this vacant expression. I touched her shoulder and she flinched so violently she nearly fell off the couch. Donald noticed immediately, came over to check on her. Asked Kylie what happened. She wouldn't speak, wouldn't make eye contact. Robert looked appropriately concerned, said maybe she was overtired, suggested ending the visit early. As soon as Robert left, Kylie collapsed into my arms sobbing, but she still wouldn't say what happened in those 2 minutes I was gone. Donald stayed for another hour trying to get her to talk. She refused, just kept saying no princess games over and over. That night, Kylie wouldn't sleep, wouldn't even lie down. Sat in the corner of Tiffany's guest room with her back to the wall watching the door until she literally passed out from exhaustion around 4 a.m. When I tried to move her to the bed, she woke up screaming. The next morning, Tiffany helped me find a lawyer who agreed to meet us that afternoon. Kylie was still practically catatonic, barely speaking, jumping at every sound. I was terrified to leave her, but Tiffany offered to stay with her while I met with the lawyer. Promised she wouldn't leave Kylie alone for a second. The lawyer's name was Ricardo. Older man with kind eyes behind thick glasses. Listened to my whole story without interrupting. When I finished, he sat quietly for a moment, then said, "You're being systematically gaslit." He explained that what Robert was doing, creating a false medical history, manipulating digital evidence, establishing a narrative of my mental instability, was textbook preparation for custody battle. Said abusers often set these things up months or years in advance. When I asked what we could do, he said without hard evidence, it would be my word against Robert's. And Robert had already created a paper trail making my word look unreliable. Said we needed to focus on Kylie, getting her to feel safe enough to disclose what was happening, getting her evaluated by specialists experienced in child abuse cases. I felt so defeated. Ricardo must have seen it on my face because he leaned forward and said, "But there's something that doesn't add up in Robert's perfect plan. If he's trying to make you look unstable to get custody, why is he doing things that terrify Kylie so obviously? An experienced manipulator would be more careful. It's almost like he wants her to be afraid but can't help himself from—" Ricardo stopped mid-sentence. Asked me what Robert did for work before he was laid off. I told him accounting at some firm. Ricardo asked if Robert had ever been investigated at work, if he'd left under unusual circumstances. I didn't think so, but realized I only knew what Robert had told me. On my way back to Tiffany's, my supervisor called. Said she'd been trying to reach me, that we needed to discuss my employment status immediately. Sounded coldly professional, not like the woman who'd attended my baby shower 3 years ago. Said there had been multiple complaints about my conduct with patients, medication errors, showing up to shifts impaired, all lies, all completely fabricated. I tried to explain, but she cut me off. Said I was suspended pending investigation. Said they'd been lenient because of my previous good record, but the recent incidents were too serious to ignore. Told me to turn in my badge. I was still reeling from that call when I got back to Tiffany's apartment. Found her sitting on the couch looking shell-shocked. Kylie was napping, finally sleeping after nearly 24 hours awake. Tiffany said something happened while I was gone. She'd been sitting with Kylie, trying to get her to eat something, when Kylie suddenly asked if the princess game was real or pretend. Tiffany, not knowing what that meant, said she didn't know about any princess game. Kylie stared at her for a long time, then whispered, "If I tell about the tower and the dragon will burn everyone up. Daddy said so." Tiffany asked what happened in the tower. Kylie shut down completely. Wouldn't speak again. Just curled into a ball on the couch until she fell asleep from exhaustion. I called Ricardo immediately. He said this was important disclosure, that we needed to document it. Suggested I take Kylie back to the children's hospital, ask for the same team if possible. Said not to prompt her or ask leading questions. Just create safe opportunities for her to talk. So I took Kylie back to the hospital. Dr. Kelly was on shift, recognized us immediately. I explained what happened during the supervised visit, what Kylie had said to Tiffany about the princess game. Dr. Kelly's expression darkened. She made some calls, assembled the same team from before. They interviewed Kylie again, this time with a child psychologist specialized in trauma. Kylie still wouldn't talk much, but did more of that princess game, tower, dragon whispers. The psychologist asked if she could draw a picture of the princess game. Kylie refused at first, then suddenly agreed. What she drew made my heart stop. A stick figure girl in what looked like a closet or small space. A larger figure outside with angry red scribbles all around it. She'd pressed so hard with the red crayon that it tore through the paper in places. The psychologist asked who was in the picture. Kylie pointed to the small figure and said, "Princess." Pointed to the larger figure and said, "Dragon." Then, so quietly, I almost missed it, added, "But sometimes Daddy is the dragon." They asked if she could explain more about the game. Kylie shut down again, started that vacant staring thing. The psychologist signaled that they should stop. As we were leaving the interview room, Kylie suddenly grabbed her stomach and threw up. Thought it was just stress at first, but she kept vomiting. Couldn't stop. Her skin felt hot to touch. Dr. Kelly checked her temperature. 103.4. Way too high. They admitted her immediately. Ran tests. Found an infection they couldn't immediately identify. Put her on IV antibiotics. That's when Robert showed up. Somehow he knew Kylie had been admitted. Stormed into the hospital room demanding to know what was happening with his daughter. I lost it. Started screaming at him to get out. Security had to come. Donald was called. The whole situation spiraled out of control. In the chaos, Kylie had a seizure from the high fever. Watching her tiny body convulse on the hospital bed while medical staff rushed around her is something I'll never forget as long as I live. They stabilized her but had to move her to intensive care. The doctors are baffled by the infection. Can't figure out where it came from or why it's so severe. They're trying different antibiotics, running more tests. When she's awake, she keeps asking if the dragon is gone, if she's safe in the tower. Robert is being allowed to visit under strict supervision. Plays the devastated father perfectly. This morning he cornered me in the hospital cafeteria. No one else around. His perfect concerned father mask slipped for just a second. He leaned in close and whispered, "You should have stayed at work like you were supposed to. Some things you're not meant to see." Ricardo is trying to get an emergency court order to prevent Robert from having any contact with Kylie. Says her disclosure about the princess game and the dragon, combined with her reaction during the supervised visit, is enough to raise serious concerns. But the court system moves slowly and Kylie needs protection now. The doctors just came in with more test results. The infection is getting worse despite antibiotics. They're bringing in specialists, talking about possible causes. Asked about any medications Kylie might have been given at home, any chemicals she might have been exposed to. I don't know what Robert did to our daughter. Don't know if this infection is related or just horrible timing. Don't know if I can't even write it. Can't even think it. Kylie's fever spiked again an hour ago. She was delirious, thrashing in the hospital bed, fighting against the nurses trying to help her. Kept screaming about the dragon, about the burning, about how it hurts when Daddy makes her drink the special princess medicine. Special princess medicine. Those words sent ice through my veins. I asked the doctors to test for poisoning. They looked skeptical, but agreed to run additional toxicology screens given the circumstances. Just got the preliminary results back. They found traces of antifreeze in her system. Fucking antifreeze. My 4-year-old daughter has ethylene glycol poisoning. The doctor said if we hadn't caught it when we did, if we'd waited even another day. Robert has disappeared. Left the hospital after his last visit and no one can find him. Police are looking. Tiffany brought me clean clothes. Stayed for hours holding my hand. Ricardo is working on emergency protective orders. Donald seems shocked. Keeps saying there were no indications of this level of abuse. Like that helps anything now. What kind of monster poisons his own child? What was he trying to do? Kill her? Make her sick enough to be hospitalized so he could play the concerned father? Or was it just another sick game? I can't leave her side. Not for a minute. Not even to use the bathroom without someone watching her. Terrified Robert will come back to finish what he started. The police found something at our house. Cleaning supplies in Kylie's princess cup. Residue of what looks like antifreeze mixed with juice. Hidden in the back of her closet where she wouldn't see it, but Robert could access it easily. They're testing it now, Ricardo says with the poisoning evidence. We'll get full protection for Kylie. Says no judge would allow Robert anywhere near her after this. Says when she's well enough, we can go stay with my parents until the case is resolved. Edit. The police just called. They found Robert at a bus station trying to leave town. He's in custody now, being questioned about the poisoning, about the files they found, about what the hell he's been doing to our daughter. Kylie's asleep again, peaceful for the first time in days. The antidote is working. Doctors are cautiously optimistic. Say children are resilient, can recover from unimaginable trauma with the right support. I want to believe them. Need to believe them. Need to believe I haven't lost my daughter even though I got her back. Need to believe we can rebuild some kind of life after this nightmare. If you're a parent reading this, please listen when your child tries to tell you something is wrong, even if they don't have the words, even if it seems impossible, even if the person they're afraid of is someone you trust completely. Don't make my mistake. Don't let your child scream for you not to leave them and walk out the door anyway. Because sometimes the monsters aren't under the bed or in the closet. Sometimes they're right beside you, smiling, while they plot to destroy everything you love. 3 weeks since my last update. Kylie's out of the hospital and we're staying at my parents' house 3 states away. Have restraining orders against Robert. Trying to rebuild something that feels like safety. Kylie's physical recovery has been better than expected. Kidneys functioning almost normally. Doctors say kids are resilient physically. Wish their minds could heal as easily. She still wakes up screaming. Still checks every closet, under every bed. Still whispers about the dragon and the tower. Won't be alone in any room. follows me to the bathroom, watches the door while I shower. Her therapist says this hypervigilance is normal after trauma, might last months or years. The truth about what Robert did came in pieces, each more horrifying than the last. The princess game was just the beginning. The tower was our hallway closet where he would lock her when I was at work. The dragon was what he called himself when angry. The special princess medicine was the antifreeze mixed with juice. But that wasn't all. Police found videos on Robert's laptop, dozens of them, all recorded on nights I worked, all showing Robert terrorizing our daughter in ways so twisted I vomited when they described them. He didn't sexually abuse her, thank God. But what he did was its own kind of torture. Psychological torment designed to control her, frighten her, make her dependent on him in a sick way. The videos showed Robert waking Kylie in the middle of the night, telling her monsters were coming, hiding in the closet, making scratching noises on walls, jumping out to scare her when she was almost asleep, making her drink the special medicine, the antifreeze mixed with juice, recording her crying in pain from the burning in her throat. Other videos showed him putting her in the closet, the tower, telling her to stay completely silent or the dragon would hear her and burn her. He'd leave her there for hours, sometimes all night, would bang on the door randomly to make her jump, roar outside to frighten her, open the door just to check she was still frozen in terror. In some videos, he was gentle, comforting her after terrifying her, creating a cycle of fear and relief that trauma experts say creates powerful emotional bonds, making himself both the source of terror and the only safety from it. The most chilling videos were him coaching her on what to tell me, made her practice saying she had nightmares, made her rehearse how to beg me not to leave without saying why, punished her when she slipped up. Ricardo says it's one of the most calculated cases of child psychological abuse he's ever seen. The prosecutor is pursuing maximum charges: child abuse, attempted murder, torture. Robert is held without bail. They found other things too. Searches about poisoning symptoms, about making someone appear mentally unstable, about custody battles when one parent is declared unfit, about editing security footage, about remotely accessing phones to send messages. They found a document outlining his plan, steps to gradually make me appear unstable while making Kylie dependent on him through fear. The goal was full custody, removing me entirely. Why? The document didn't say explicitly, just referenced the project and maintaining optimal conditions. The hardest part was the bail hearing, listening to Robert's attorney argue he was a dedicated father who'd made unfortunate choices. Watching Robert sit there looking remorseful, the perfect picture of a man who deserved mercy. The judge denied bail, called the evidence disturbing in the extreme, ordered a complete psychological evaluation. The prosecutor thinks Robert will plead insanity or diminished capacity. My supervisor apologized, offered my position back. I can't return yet, though. Can't leave Kylie with anyone. She panics if I'm out of sight. The worst moments are when Kylie asks why Daddy did those things to her, what she did wrong to make him angry. Her therapist says this is common, children blaming themselves. We tell her over and over, it wasn't her fault, that Daddy was sick in his mind, that some people hurt others because something is broken inside them. I don't think she believes us yet. Don't think she understands how someone who was supposed to love her could hurt her so deliberately. Honestly, I don't understand it either. Kylie's night terrors are getting worse. Last night she woke up screaming that the dragon was in her room, going to make her drink the burning medicine again. Took an hour to convince her she was safe. Yesterday, I found her hiding in my parents' hall closet. Heart nearly stopped when I couldn't find her. She was curled up in a ball, eyes closed, perfectly still and silent. Asked why she was hiding there. She said she was practicing being quiet for when the dragon came back. I got a letter from Robert last week, passed through his lawyer, technically not violating the restraining order. Ricardo advised me not to read it. I couldn't help myself. The letter was disturbing in its normalcy. Asked about Kylie's health, said he was concerned about her recovery, said he knew I was angry but hoped we could work things out. Not a word about the abuse, the videos, the poisoning, like it never happened. The prosecutor said this compartmentalization is common in psychopaths. The ability to separate different aspects of their behavior, to not connect actions with consequences. Said Robert likely doesn't see himself as having done anything truly wrong. I keep trying to understand how I missed it. Lived with this man for years, had a child with him, never saw what he was capable of. My therapist says abusers like Robert are experts at hiding their true nature. Says he probably didn't know what he was going to do until the opportunity presented itself. Ricardo called today. Robert accepted a plea deal. Multiple felony counts. 20 years minimum before possibility of parole. No contact with Kylie or me ever again. Avoids a trial that would have forced Kylie to testify. Should feel relieved but mostly feel numb. 20 years isn't enough for what he did. Yesterday, Kylie played with another child for the first time since everything happened. My cousin's daughter, who's about the same age. They colored together, built a fort with blankets. But she's also starting to play again, to imagine again, to trust in small ways that the world can be safe, that closets are just closets, that medicine helps instead of hurts. that bedtime stories don't have to be about princesses trapped in towers. Last night before bed, Kylie asked if she could tell me a story instead of me reading to her. Said it was about a little girl and her mommy who escaped from a bad place and found a good place. Said they had to be very brave, but they did it together. Said the bad place was far away now and couldn't find them anymore. I listened, heart in my throat, as my daughter created a narrative where she had agency, where we escaped together, where safety was possible. When she finished, she looked at me very seriously and said, "That's us, right, Mommy? We got away from the bad place?" "Yes, baby," I told her. "We got away. We're safe now. The bad place can't find us anymore." She nodded, satisfied, and closed her eyes, fell asleep holding my hand, didn't wake screaming for the first time in months.